All right, hey, it's Ronin, man. Today we're going to talk women are Nazis around the house, right? They are just absolute Nazis. And I say that in the kindest way, you know. I mean, again, like if you know my philosophy, like women are great. You want to have as many women as you can. You know, you want to really like enjoy your life. And women can be a big part of it, you know, like having sex with women is awesome, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. So you have to deal with women, right? You got to learn to deal with women, right? Have them around and to be really to be in control of your life, you need to have a system, you know. So I was just thinking about one thing. So this, I remember I had this, I had a system for clothes, right? Like I don't give a fuck what people think about stuff. I just don't give a fuck. I do it the way I want, the way I think it works, and that's it. I don't even consider because it doesn't even matter like what other people think about my house. Like I don't care, you know. So either way, so what I would do, and I didn't really think about it. It's like not a big thing. That's just the way I basically see life. So I was, she was at my house. We just had sex, and I was wash my clothes, and I would always do my own clothes. And by the way, man, you guys, anybody out there, like any like Ronin man out there, right? You got to learn to do everything yourself. You got to have a system, like a man's system for everything, because if you don't, then you're dependent on women, and you will naturally let them in. You know, like it's like if you can't do a job, you're gonna hire a gardener, right? So you have to have a garden, because I don't like having people around my house, right? I don't want anybody else around my house. Yeah. So I'd rather than a garden, I'd rather pave it, right? Or I'd rather put rocks or whatever, or build a shed or something, right? I don't want anything that's going to require another human being to come to my house is not necessary. There's always a nice thing I can do with that space. And I tell you something, if you start to simplify your life, you know, you'll find that so much shit that you're having people do for you, you don't even want it done. Like you just haven't thought about it. You know, it's like you just let the gardener come over, you're paying him, you know, and then you're paying him and you have to schedule things. And, you know, our gardener like stole stuff, you know, like then my parents' gardener, you know, stole a bunch of stuff. You know, I mean, having human beings around your house, you want to have only people that you want around, period. High quality people. And when you hire someone, it's always going to be a lower quality person, right? You know, so because you're hiring them to do a job you don't want to do, you know. So it's generally like somebody lower, right? Some guy who never improved himself, so he's he's a gardener, right? You know, or maids. You know, I had a maid business in Shanghai, and we had 600 maids working for us, right? They would go out and clean people's houses, right? So we had like maid of maids. Like we had the best maid of all the fucking maids, right? She was awesome. Very nice person, quite attractive. She didn't dress like she was from, you know, Mao's 1950s. You know, she dressed nice. You know, because it's kind of you don't want someone dressed like a slave in your house. You know what I mean? Like that's no fun. You know, like I got a cool friends. I got a cool house. I want to have anybody over there. It's cool. So we had this maid company, and so I thought, well, shit, I can have this maid almost for nothing, right? And she's awesome, the best of the best, right? So she'd come around and she would clean my house. And I just realized, even with her, I finally realized that, I mean, one, she was giving information to any girls that I was dating. She would tell them stuff. You know, she was like a secret spy, you know. And then also I realized that just basically you don't want stupid people around your house, right? She was cool, but she was kind of stupid, you know. So like she would just do the same things in my house. The last day I had her, she was just sweeping the floor for the millionth time. And and my business cards were in a huge stack, like just a mess, you know. And I was paying her full time. So she was there every day, 9 to 5, you know, all the time. And so I looked at my business card. I said, look, I said to her, I speak Chinese. I said, look, like what, like I was always nice to her, except this one time I just really pissed me off because I hate stupidity. I can't stand it in myself. I can't stand it in other people. I don't have time for it, right? I see it and I fucking want to get rid of it, you know? So I said, look, why, how can you sweep the floor 500 times when it's already clean? I said, look, can't you see, like, look, there's a huge stack of business cards, like total mess. I said, why don't you just take them and organize them by alphabetically or something and put them in stacks, or, you know, put them in a box, or find a box, go get a box, or put some kind of a, you know, organizing thing, right? It's like she couldn't even like imagine that, like doing something new or thinking for herself, right? You don't want these kind of fucking people around your house. Okay, back to the girl. So I'm putting so basically I don't give a fuck, and so like I just telling my friend here that I'll take, like, literally if I just think of the simplest thing that works, And that's what I do, right? That's just the simplest thing, the least amount of time. I look at the physical properties of clothes and I say, okay, clothes dry. Well, it depends on the city. Okay, some cities you need more care with drying clothes, and then some cities are better for drying clothes because I've lived in so many cities like Tokyo and Shanghai. Things dry fast, and same with Bangkok. Things dry fast. L.A. too. L.A. thing is fantastic for drying clothes, but there's some cities that are, especially rainy season sometimes is not so good, for drying. So you got to think about that kind of stuff. But basically, what I would do was, of course, it depends on how little time I had, right? But I remember one time when I was really in a hurry, and I had my clothes, I washed them, and I think I somehow just threw them on the floor. Like I just, I was gonna pick them up and put them on, and I totally forgot, right? So I left the house. I came back, and the clothes were all totally dry. I had just left them laying on the floor, and they weren't in one big pile. They were just kind of like spewed about. And I thought, oh man, that's awesome, like because I usually waste so much time hanging them, right? Sure. And I had just left them on the freaking floor, and they were perfect. There was nothing wrong with them. Like they weren't even like super wrinkled or anything. And so I realized, okay, if you're ever really in a hurry, just throw them on the ground, especially like socks and, shorts and just jeans, it doesn't matter, right? And I just make sure they're like not on top of each other, right? So I have this, like, that's my method when I'm just running out the door. I got no freaking time, which I don't like to do these days because I like to have my whole life in control of my time and everything. So that's another aspect of it, right? I don't want to be rushing out the door for anything, but just in case I am, something's happening, I'm catching a flight, something's, it happens once in a while. It can even be nice if you have such a relaxed life once in a while to have something to do. So you have to hurry, right? So, if it reminds you of the old days. So either way, so then this girl, what I was doing that day was we would, in Tokyo, you don't have a dryer, right? So you would just hang the clothes to dry. And so in the sun, right? Most people. So, okay, here's where I got the idea. Japanese housewives, their whole job is based on stupid chores. Okay, they have very strict ways of doing everything. So everything they do is a waste of time, doesn't need to be done, almost, except for cook food.
And they protect it because it's part of their identity, right?
It's part of their
duties.
Well, they don't work. Like Japanese women don't work when they're married.
Really?
They all quit their jobs, yeah. So that, and they just want to be, a lot of Japanese women just want to be housewives. Okay. But by the way, you guys, I love Japanese women. Like I consider them number one in the world, my favorite. But nobody's perfect, right? This whole, like, I'm going to marry and then just not work thing is lame. And there are women who don't do it. Definitely. And Japan is changing, but ever slowly, right? Basically, if you look at the average Japanese woman, if you go to any like, countryside or anywhere in Tokyo, you see Japanese housewives. And they basically have this, like, total, like, long roll. Like, basically, they're trying to use one room for everything. So what they got is they got the mattresses on the ground. They in the morning, the guy gets up, goes to work. She sleeps again. She goes back to sleep or turns on some TV or whatever, goes to sleep for a while. Then she gets up, has her coffee, and she'll take the mattresses and she'll take off the sheets. She'll wash the sheets, and she'll take the mattress. She won't wash the sheets every day, but every day she will take the mattress and put it outside. So like there'll be an outside balcony or something, and she'll hang it so that it dries outside, right? Because the mattresses that they have get moldy if you leave them in the house or if you leave them stacked in the closet, right? So immediately when I see that, I went and bought mattresses that don't get moldy. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to be carrying a fucking mattress out to the balcony every day. And also what happened for me as a single guy is basically I was like a slave to my own mattress. When I first got there, I'd put the mattress out. Then if it looked like it's going to rain, I had to rush home, right? I couldn't just let the mattress get wet, right? Because then it's ruined, right? You pay $500 for a mattress or something, right? So, I had to, if it was started to rain, I had to rush home. So either way, I would do this. Japanese housewives, they fold clothes a specific way. They put the things out to dry every day. The futons out to dry. There's all this stuff they do. All this stuff can be doesn't need to be done, right? It seems nice, It seems nice if you live in Japan and you visit Japan. It seems like great to have these because they're quite conscientious. They do a good job, but. I mean, you guys, you don't need this shit, right? You need pussy, you need money, you need fun and travel and friends. You know what I mean? Maybe wine and beer. You need excitement, you need challenges, you need to learn. These are the things you need to do, not some stupid mattress in the fucking balcony, right? So like, and it's amazing how much this controls people's lives. It really is. It's amazing. Like it's shocking. and it controls like if a guy gets divorced and he loses a wife, he like feels like he's a loser because he doesn't put his mattress. You know what I mean? Like he's got like they don't have like yeah. There's like loser guy furniture and there's like winner guy furniture. Yeah, he goes to the loser guy furniture, right? Yeah. But of course, he's not happy about it, right? But he should be, and he should be looking for nice solutions, right? So either way, this back to the girl. So the girl's over. We just had sex. She's awesome, and I was getting ready to. I washed my clothes because I just don't like to be dependent on girls for that kind of stuff. I'll tell you something because girls complain about guys all the time, like they don't do the housework at home, and they don't clean, they don't cook, and they're kind of right about that. But it's like a mixed bag because the way the girls want it done is one thing. The guys don't want to do it the way the girls want it done. But if you just say, look, fuck what the girls want, I'm gonna get a job in my own way, my own intelligent way, the best way I can do it. I'm gonna learn from the best. I'm gonna look at everybody else doing things. I'm gonna think of like, it's worth it. It's worth it for your own life. It's worth having like the smartest, like little habits. The easiest way to do stuff that works, right? It's worth it. It's totally worth it. It's not a useless thing. And then once you figure out a system, and just do that for the rest, forever, right? So she basically, I was hanging the clothes up. They have these little hooks, and usually you're supposed to hang like one thing on it. So the Japanese woman will generally take the sock, she'll like shake it a few times, she'll kind of press it so it's straight, and then she'll hang it very nicely on the hook, right? And then she'll do it with the next sock, right? So it's kind of, and so it's like no wrinkles on the sock, right? Well, wrinkles on a sock. What the fuck does that mean? It's like that's
who gives a shit?
Who? No, literally, who gives a shit? Nobody gives a shit. You can't even see when you put the sock on that there's wrinkles on it.
Oh, you have a wrinkled sock, you loser.
Yeah, I mean, I've had days where I leave the house with different socks because I can't find one sock, and I've never had anybody notice.
Yeah.
I've literally had two different, like a gray and a black sock, and like with shorts on, and no one ever notices. Nobody looks at your socks. Yeah. We only care about our socks. Nobody else cares about your socks, right? Yeah, it's amazing, actually. So either way, so she looks at me, and I started to put, like, instead of one sock nicely hung and flattened and everything, I just took like 4. I took as many socks as I could physically get into the clip. I just clipped them all together, right? So that little section where they're clipped together won't get perfectly dry, right? Unless it's a super hot day, right? But I don't give a fuck about that because it can dry later. It's not gonna get moldy in the daytime, and not only that, it kind of dries anyway, right? It pretty much dries even under the hook thing. I found through testing, right? So I just like threw my socks up, boom, 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 and then the girl, I guess she's from a family where this is what I think that the women are used to bossing the men around in the house, right? Because she just like was so natural for her, and she was like a sweet, hot young girl. She just looked at me and she goes, no, you can't do it like that. And she's like, let me do that. And she like pushes me out of the way, and then she gets the socks and she does it perfectly. She did it like real slow and perfect. And then she was like feeling very proud of herself for teaching me the proper way to hang clothes, right? And I was just sat in amazement. I was just like, I didn't say anything. I was just watching her in total amazement. And I realized like she's kind of a stubborn type of person, she's like gonna do it. Like that long term, that kind of girl kind of drives me crazy,
It's a warning sign.
It's a type of person. Like that's not my favorite girl is more flexible. Like if I'm fucking her and she has her period and we keep fucking when the blood comes out, when she has it, that a girl like that I like those kind of girls. You know what I mean? They're more flexible. Like I mean like the period actually comes while we're fucking. That's happened before. Like it just starts right then, and blood just starts coming, and we just keep fucking. We just finish the job, right, and then just get off the bed, right, or the mattress or whatever, so that it doesn't stain everything, But it basically just keep going. I like those kind of rough and ready girls more than I like this kind of stubborn know-it-all types, because the thing is it's not that I don't know what Japanese do, for socks, which she assumed, right, but actually it's just that I just literally don't even want to do what Americans do. Like I just basically like the Ronin man is like fucking, like I said before, it's like Unabomber thinking, right? It's like, you know what I mean? It's like in the man in the cabin kind of life inside of the big city with tons of girls, right? So, but like that kind of simple thinking. So when she did that, it woke me up, and I just thought, you know what? That's why. That kind of stuff is why I don't want to ever be married, because I don't want to invite another person in my house who has this kind of stupid idea about life, you know? It's like, you know, like to me, like her wasting that time when she could have been doing something valuable is just like ridiculous to me, you know? Like I the last thing I want to do is like spend my life doing meaningless chores, you know? It's like, in fact, I think of ways that I don't have to do any chores, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just, and it's exactly, well, it's not so much minimalism. It probably is in a way. It kind of is like, in the end, it probably is minimalism, but I don't like that word. It's just basically, I think of doing things so that I don't have to do anything extra to keep them. You know, like I'd rather have a like electric motor than a gasoline motor, because I have to take it in for servicing, right? You know what I mean? I'd rather have, you know what I mean? I'd rather have, I don't know, just everything. I keep it like well, for example, I just have a bar of soap in my house. I use the bar of soap for everything, for my hair, for my body. I just use a bar of soap, right? Because then I don't have to. I can buy a stack of the soap and I can just leave it somewhere in the house, and then it never gets old and it's cheap as shit. And then I can just wash myself, right? Yeah. Because I remember my teacher told me when we were in chemistry class in high school, we made soap, right? And we made this lump of soap, right? And it was like, he said, "You see this, guys? This is soap." He goes, "This is soap. Anything you go to the store, it's things added to this." He goes, "This is soap right here. This is all you need. This is what soap is, and anything else, it's not like food, right? Because you add things to it, it's going to change the flavor. It's going to be better, right? You know, you add strawberry to vanilla, you get a different flavor, right? With soap, you're washing your body, right? You know, if you want any smell on your body, you're going to put it on. You're not going to put on Dove flavored cologne, right? You want no smell, or you want a nice cologne, right? You know, you don't want like to smell like a fucking box of fucking bananas or something, right? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So like that's why I keep that thing simple. So I would say like the lessons from today is like just start looking at your life, at the things that you like, the things that people make you feel guilty for not doing, and the things that you do on the weekend, you know, and just start to think about how you can get rid of that shit. You know, like I like to have a sprayer on my toilet, because then I don't have to buy toilet paper. And also, I think the sprayer is much more sanitary. You know, I like it a lot better. I don't want to have to buy toilet paper. Then I'm out of toilet paper. I don't want to have a coffee pot where I run out of filters, right? Because then I'm in my house and suddenly I can't make coffee because I don't have the goddamn filter, right? You know what I mean? So I bought one of the first like filterless coffee pots, right? It tastes exactly the same, except you have this metal, you know, like kind of gold filter back in the 80s or 90s, whatever it was. And I didn't have to have the filters. I never had to worry about. All I had to know is, do I have coffee or not? Yes, I have coffee. I can make coffee. Simple as that, right? So I want to always think of those kind of things, right? You know, like, and that's what I recommend you do, because you can't win. A lot of people think that if they hire someone to do a job, then they kind of win. I think that's totally wrong, And because I've had people do stuff for me. I've had companies and all this, and I've seen what it really means. And what it means is your life is complicated, and you have all these morons in your life, you know. Right. Well, who wants to invite some moron into your life, you know? Like, I don't want that. And I certainly don't want some girl who demands that I do things in my house the way I want. And again, I think I want to add like one last thing is like, I'm not talking about being an asshole at all. You know, I'm not talking about telling anybody else how to live, you know. I'm just saying for my house. And the girls, actually, once the girls understand the way I think, they're totally cool with it. Like, actually, the girls envy me. You know what I mean? They envy me. And they actually, I've had girls say to me, like kind of like, "You're so smart." Like my other, like her husband or whatever, you know, they spend so much time doing things that are just stupid, you know? And like, I never do that. I never, you know, and they're always like they really respect it. And I found that a lot of my girlfriends actually simplify their lives a lot. If they're with me over time, I can watch them.
Yeah, I have that same effect with you too. You also make me simplify my life. I told you that it's really good.
Right.
Yeah, so I just want to say that, like, after being with Ronin, man, it's just like I noticed how he lives his life, and it's just so simple, and it reminded me to go back in my life and just remember the beauty of like just having a simple life, because it cuts down your stress. You live simple, and you don't have many things to worry about. And you simplified everything. Even with the women you date, you have a very simple routine where you treat them respectfully, but you just keep it simple. And over time, over the last year, I sort of forgot that. And now going back to that, since hanging out with Ronin Man more, it just showed me that. And I find myself more happy with that, going back to those ways. For example, like a year ago, my friends used to laugh at me because I would go out and I would have only 2 shirts. And I would rotate between my shirts, like this shirt today, that shirt tomorrow, and then like rotate like that. And I had no problem with that. I actually went out to the club every day with those 2 shirts, and I never got anything for it. People don't give a shit. I mean, it's just like never. And it was so simple, and it worked like a charm. So yeah, simplicity works really well.
Yeah, it's interesting because talking about clothes, now it's getting longer because more ideas here. That clothes are, if you look at any like, like Jim Sinegal started at Costco, right? He wore the Kirkland, the collared polo shirt all the time. That's what he used to wear every day, and he would,
Steve Jobs,
and he would eat pizza at the little thing in the front of Costco, right? And Steve Jobs had a similar thing, right? Mark Zuckerberg, and of course, I've heard. I do want to say one thing, correct one misunderstanding I've heard about people is that there was a big, people made a big deal out of what was that book? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name of it. I read it many times, but it was basically what he said in the book was, and you might have heard this. This is now like a mind meme in society. Is what he said was this. Okay, the theory was this, and I don't agree with the theory anymore, but was that you want to have your clothes like in a set, hanging like basically in a set, so that you don't have to in the morning, you don't have to use your valuable brain energy figuring out what to wear. So you're a shitty dresser anyway, so who cares? You're not going to look like a runway model every day anyway. So just have them in sets so you don't have to think about it. And then you have like 8 minutes a day of valuable time to think, and don't waste it on clothes, right? But that kind of has been proven false. I still like the theory. I still like keeping things simple, and I like buying clothes that all match. Like pretty much all my clothes kind of can match with other clothes. Because it's like you say, nobody really cares anyway, right? So I don't want to have some blue pants, for example, because if I have blue pants, it's hard to find like a shirt that looks cool with them, right? I might have only one shirt, right? So I don't like that. I like to have more. Everything's kind of utilitarian, so it doesn't look like it. I mean, I think I dress pretty cool. I mean, I certainly don't get any complaints. So, I think things that look good on me. I like to get tailored clothes. I think that's one important thing. It makes you look a lot better. But a simple clothes, but if it's tailored on your body, it's much better than a store-bought clothes, right? Those are little details you can add. So it's very simple, but it actually looks quite nice, right? So that's it, man. Simple and think about your life, right? This shit is worth thinking about, just it's really your life, right? And if you find yourself a slave to, like I was a slave to the mattress when I first moved to Japan, because I had to always take it out of the outside, because I'd have to run home, right? You could never let it rain on the mattress because it was totally ruined then, completely ruined. And also you had to pay money to throw things away in Japan. So it would cost you like $20 to throw a mattress away. Really? Yeah, and plus you had to make an appointment. You had to make an appointment. Yeah, and then on a certain day you had to put it outside with a certain sign on it, a sticker. You had to go buy a sticker and then put the sticker. It was like a pain in the butt, right? So you never want to throw anything away. If you throw it away illegally, then you take that risk, right? You just throw stuff on the street in Japan. They're pretty strict about that. They have cameras. They check shit out in Japan, yeah. So keeping simple was important. So there you go. I'd love to hear your ideas. If you groove on this shit, please comment, please share. To me, this is like this like keeping it simple is like not a small thing. It's not a small thing, and I'm always thinking about this. Like, what am I doing in my life? Like, I stopped watching movies.
It's a big difference.
Yeah, I stopped watching movies in about September 11th, because I used to be a big movie fan. I used to watch movies all the time, and after September 11th, I just kind of went through a shift where I said, "Fuck movies," I said I only want to watch like self-help stuff. I want to watch like self-help. I want to read books. I want to listen to audiobooks. I want to study videos. I want to study physics. I want to study chemistry. I want to study quantum materials. I want to study things that are interesting for me, and history and stuff like that. I don't want to watch a Hollywood movie where it's trying to like see, you know what I mean? Like fake stories to me are just boring. Real life is much more interesting, right? So I want to study real life. So, and of course, movies can have interesting stories that help you too, but in a ratio, it's very low, right? There's a lot of garbage in the middle, right? So there you go. episode, Women Are Nazis in the House. I hope you enjoyed it. Ronin Man signing off. Thanks for listening.